one of the more compelling off-the-court stories. We talked about Tom Izzo earlier in the show and how people had issues with his coaching style. Kelvin Sampson said something during one of his press conferences. We talk about paying college players so often and what's the right amount. Should they get paid? I think most people think they should get something. And by the way, they do get something. A lot of people aren't aware of this, but they get a stipend. College athletes get a stipend. It's not a lot of money, but it's between $2,000 and about $5,500 a year. So that's extra money on top of their scholarship that goes to buy some sneakers or buy some clothes or go out on a date. So there is some money there. I know it's not a ton, but you're in college. You know, a couple $1,000 a semester goes a long way. But Kelvin Sampson had this to say when asked about some of the things that the players didn't have in terms of their off-the-court needs.
It's not money, it's travel and hotel rooms. I had one of my kids, I'm not going to mention who it is, his parents would like to come, and the only way they could come would be to drive. And then they'd have to get a hotel room, possibly for, if they came in on Friday, they would be here Friday and Saturday night. For a lot of people, that's not a big deal, but that's a big deal for that family. They don't have the money to do that. So they would have to decide how they would do it. And I've had families ask me, can I sleep on my son's floor in his room? Think about that now. You know, well, that's my life. That's not unusual for me. Can I sleep on his floor? Because they don't have the money to pay for a room. But when you look around at how big this industry has become, why can't we figure that out? I'm not saying give them this or give them that. I'm saying that when young men get to the NCAA tournament, let's find a way to get their parents and their brothers and sisters a plane ticket and a hotel room. I don't think that's asking too much.
Houston head coach Kelvin Sampson. I'm not one of these guys who thinks that we should be paying college athletes $100,000 a year, because I think what they are provided in terms of an education at some of these schools that cost upwards of $60,000, $70,000 a year. For Zion Williamson, the exposure, the media exposure that is worth far more long-term at Duke than if he was making $1 million playing overseas. There's something to be said for that. However, I think that college players' families should be given a chance to go see them play in what, for many of them, is the biggest moment, not only of that player's life, but of the family's life. And with the money that's being made from CBS alone, let's say you get your two parents and your siblings and you put them up for the entire tournament and you fly them in. Coach, we're not flying them out first class. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask that these programs could fly the families of the players? And by the way, we're not talking about a college football team that has 80 people on the roster. Okay, we're talking about 15 basketball players for the NCAA tournament. Well, what about bowl games, you ask? Well, that's a different story, and we cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think right now, Kelvin Sampson brings up a great point. Your parents should not be asking to sleep on your hotel room floor so they can see Wofford play Seton Hall in the first round. I think they should be given the opportunity, whether it's flown in or driven in, to watch their kids play in the NCAA tournament, which makes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars for these schools long term and for the NCAA. A $10.8 billion television deal over 14 years is what they're making.
Yeah, it's extended the deal to 2032. That's just bananas money.
What? I mean, Kelvin Sampson's talking about parents sleeping on floors. This is asinine. It seems, and again, I'm not there. You got to pay the guys. In the perfect world, I think a Division I college athlete should get an extra $10,000 a year. You give them $5,000 a semester, and that alleviates worry. It's not a job where they're going to be able to support an entire family, but it makes it so they don't have to go out and get a job while they're in college. Because let's be honest, the sport is their job. So you can't go be a waiter or a bartender like I was in college to earn beer money because you're going to practice every day. So let's give them $5,000 a semester. They don't have to worry about that. They can take their girlfriend or boyfriend out to a nice dinner, and they can go out and they can buy a nice pair of jeans and a pair of sneakers and not have to worry.
They signed an 8-year extension 2 years ago. It literally plays out to $1 billion a year they're getting from CBS and Turner Sports. $1 billion.
Okay, refresh my memory. 68 teams.
68 teams
in the
make it.
NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Once we moved up from 64. Right? So 68 teams, let's just say 15 players per team. I'm really bad at math, but that's less than 1,000 players or right around 1,100 players.
Let's do some math real quick.
Okay, let's do some math as we figure this out. Because that's $1 billion a year.
1,020 if we're going with the 15-man roster.
Okay. Let's just round it down. That's 1,000 players and families. And let's just say a family of 4. That's, it's 4,000 people that you need to organize travel for. Oh, and by the way, a lot of them may live in the area and could fly on the team charter. It bothers me that in this day and age, we have to hear stories like that from a major college coach talking about parents having to sleep on floors because they can't afford a hotel room to watch their kid play in the NCAA tournament. I don't know. To me, just a little much, easily solvable. $1 billion coming in every year in revenue from these TV deals. And we're not even talking about what some of these programs make at the gate. Now, I know there are more athletic departments that lose money than there are athletic departments that make money, but that's a monster TV deal that should be able to solve some of those issues.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.